Time this week, we're reporting on a new report critical of the state's tax breaks to the film industry. This new audit says the state vastly overstated the economic benefit and jobs created by the tax break, described as the biggest in the United States. 11 Alive's Doug Richards joins us with more. Doug, this is familiar. We've been hearing this all week.
Very true, Jeff. Monday we told you about a Kennesaw State University analysis critical of the tax break. Wednesday, it was a state audit critical of the state's oversight of the tax break. And now the report issued this morning, also by the State Department of Audit, says the film industry's economic impact and job creation is a fraction of what we've been told over the years. The headline is that instead of producing 92,000 jobs, the audit says the film industry produced 29,000 jobs. The audit says the credit also cost the state 19,000 from reduced government spending, making the net benefit only 9,100 or so jobs. The film industry tax credit is very politically popular, but J.C. Bradbury says the audits show the state subsidy is really just very expensive for taxpayers.
People do like to point to all the film spending that happens in Georgia. Well, that's because Georgians are covering 30% of the cost of it. I mean, if we covered 30% of the cost of toilet manufacturing, Georgia would be the toilet capital of the world.
Georgia has a history of generous subsidies for new businesses. For example, an 11 Alive News investigation in 2017 showed that the state gave $1.5 million to a company called Mando to create 426 jobs in Hogansville. 5 years later, the company had only created 237 jobs, about 60% of the number promised. The state agency that manages the film tax program hotly disputes the findings in the state audit. You can find a link to the audit on 11alive.com. There is a lot more to this, including the conclusion that most of the film tax subsidy benefits people outside of Georgia. We'll have a lot more on that tonight at 6, J. Bill.